I should have taken the picture. That's what eats at me. Not the pictures I took. God knows there are plenty of those to haunt me. The faces of dead children, the Marine crying over his buddy's body, the village burning, the execution. I took all of those, shot them, developed them, sent them to magazines that paid me good money to show the world what war looked like. But the one picture that mattered most, the one that might have changed something, I didn't take it. I lowered my camera, and a girl died while I did nothing. My name is Michael Harrison. I was a freelance combat photographer in Vietnam from 1967 to 1973. 6 years documenting the war. 6 years hiding behind a camera lens, pretending that observing suffering was the same as preventing it. 6 years telling myself I was serving a purpose, showing the truth to people back home, making them understand what was really happening. 6 years of lies. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. Middle-class Jewish family. Father owned a hardware store. Mother was a teacher. Got into photography in high school. Started with street photography, capturing city life. Went to NYU on scholarship. Studied photojournalism. Wanted to be like Robert Capa or Eddie Adams, the guys who went to war zones and came back with images that mattered. Images that changed things. I was 24 when I first went to Vietnam in 1967. Fresh out of college, eager, idealistic. Thought I was going to document history. Show America what the war really looked like. Make a difference through my art. The naivety is almost funny now. My first editor at Life magazine was straightforward. We want dramatic images, combat, casualties, human interest. Americans want to see what their boys are going through, but they also want to feel good about the war effort. Balance it. Balance it. Show the truth, but not too much truth. Show suffering, but make it meaningful. Show death, but make it heroic. I learned fast that there was truth, and then there was truth that sold. The picture of a Marine helping a wounded buddy, that sold. The picture of that same Marine shooting a wounded prisoner, that didn't sell. Got filed away, never published. I told myself I was documenting everything, that someday all the pictures, even the ones that didn't sell, would matter, would show the complete picture. But you can't show the complete picture, because the complete picture includes the photographer, includes the moment when you're watching something horrible happen through your viewfinder, finger on the shutter button, making the decision to document instead of intervene. Includes the moment when you lower the camera because documenting this particular horror feels like participating in it. My first 6 months in Vietnam were almost exciting. I'd attach myself to units going out on operations, ride along on helicopters, wade through rice paddies with grunts who were barely older than me. The camera was my shield, my protection. As long as I was behind it, I was just an observer, not a participant, not responsible. I took thousands of pictures, combat, casualties, village life, soldiers at rest. Some got published, most didn't. The editors wanted specific things: heroism, sacrifice, American soldiers helping Vietnamese civilians. They didn't want pictures of bored troops smoking marijuana, or villages destroyed by American artillery, or the dead who'd been dead so long they'd stopped looking human. I worked with other photographers. Good guys, mostly. Marcus Thompson, black photographer from Detroit, had been there since '65. Sarah Chen, one of the few female combat photographers, Chinese-American from San Francisco, tougher than most of the soldiers. David Morrison, British photographer, had covered conflicts all over the world. We'd drink together at hotels in Saigon, share war stories, compare images. There was a camaraderie to it, a brotherhood of people who'd seen things civilians couldn't imagine. We understood each other. You get numb to it, Marcus told me in late '67. The death, the suffering. You have to, or you couldn't function. You start seeing everything as composition and light. That's how you survive. He was right. I did get numb. A dead body became a subject, not a person. A crying child became a powerful image, not a human in pain. The camera lens created distance, turned reality into art, suffering into photographs. I won my first award in early 1968. Picture of a Marine carrying a wounded Vietnamese child through a burning village. Dramatic, emotional, perfect composition. The contrast between the dirty, exhausted Marine and the small child, the smoke in the background, the Marine's face showing both determination and anguish. Everyone loved it. It ran on the cover of Life, won awards. People said it showed the humanity of American soldiers, the tragedy of war, the cost of conflict. What it didn't show, the village had been destroyed by American artillery. The child's parents were dead from American bombs. The Marine was carrying her to a medevac helicopter, but she died before they got there. I took the picture, got my shot, then watched her bleed out in his arms. I photographed that, too. The moment when the Marine realized she was dead, the anguish on his face, the rage. But that picture didn't sell, didn't fit the narrative, got filed away. The published image made it look like we were saving her. The unpublished image showed we'd killed her. Both were true, but only one was comfortable. By 1969, I'd seen enough death to stop counting, enough burning villages to stop being shocked, enough crying children to stop feeling much of anything. Marcus was right. You get numb or you break. I chose number. The My Lai massacre happened in March 1968, but we didn't know about it until late '69. Another photographer, Ron Haberle, had documented it. Hundreds of Vietnamese civilians murdered by American troops. Women, children, elderly. Just executed. Ron had pictures of it all. When the story broke, it exploded. Ron's pictures were everywhere. Proof of American atrocities. Evidence that we weren't the good guys. That the war wasn't clean or noble or justified. I was envious. Terrible to admit, but I was. He documented something that mattered. Something that changed the conversation. Something that couldn't be ignored or filed away. I wanted that. Wanted to take the picture that mattered, that changed things, that made a difference. I got my chance in February 1970. We, myself, Marcus, and a reporter named Jim O'Brien, were with an army unit near the Cambodian border. Village sweep operation, looking for Viet Cong, weapons caches, anything useful. The village was tiny, maybe 20 families. Old people, women, children. The men were gone, fighting with the VC or dead or hiding. The usual story. The lieutenant in charge was young, 23 maybe. West Point probably. Eager. Wanted to find something. Wanted his operation to mean something. They searched the village, found some rice, more than normal, which suggested they were feeding VC. Found some medical supplies, found a tunnel entrance. The lieutenant decided the village was supporting the enemy, ordered it searched more thoroughly. The search got rough. Soldiers kicking over cooking pots, tearing through personal belongings, screaming at civilians who couldn't understand English. An old woman objected. Started yelling at the soldiers in Vietnamese. The lieutenant's interpreter translated. She was calling them invaders, criminals, saying they had no right. The lieutenant hit her, just backhanded her across the face. She fell, lay there bleeding from her mouth. I photographed it. Perfect shot. American officer striking an elderly Vietnamese woman. Would have been powerful. Would have shown something true about the war. But I didn't stop there. Nobody did. We all just watched. Me, Marcus, Jim, the other soldiers. The lieutenant ordered the woman taken into custody. Said she was VC sympathizer. Probable intelligence value. They dragged her to the village center. The lieutenant was angry now, frustrated that they hadn't found more. started questioning her through the interpreter. Where are the VC? Where are the weapons? Where's the tunnel network? She wouldn't answer, or couldn't. Maybe she didn't know. Maybe she was protecting someone. Maybe she just refused to cooperate with invaders who'd hit her in her own home. The lieutenant pulled out his pistol, put it to her head. "Tell me where they are, or I'll shoot you." The interpreter translated. The woman spat at him. I was photographing it all. So was Marcus. This was it. This was the moment, the image that would matter. American officer threatening to execute an elderly civilian. War crime in progress. Documentation that couldn't be denied. The lieutenant's hand was shaking. He wasn't going to do it. He was just trying to scare her. You could see it in his face. He was terrified, playing tough, hoping she'd break before he had to follow through. She didn't break, just stared at him, defiant, brave, knowing he'd probably shoot her and not caring anymore. The moment stretched, the lieutenant's finger on the trigger, the woman's eyes locked on his, everyone frozen. Me with my camera up, finger on the shutter button, capturing it all. Then the lieutenant's hand steadied. Something changed in his face. He pulled the trigger. I didn't take the picture. I lowered my camera. Don't know why, can't explain it. But in that split second before he fired, I lowered my camera. Didn't want to photograph it. Didn't want to document an old woman's execution. Didn't want to be the person who watched through a lens while someone died. So I lowered the camera and became the person who watched without a lens while someone died. The gunshot was loud. The woman fell. Blood. So much blood. She twitched once, twice, then stopped moving. The village erupted in screaming, women crying, children running. The lieutenant stood there, pistol in his hand, looking shocked, like he couldn't believe what he'd just done. His sergeant came running over. "Sir, what the fuck?" She was VC intelligence asset. She wouldn't cooperate. "Sir, you just executed an unarmed civilian." She was enemy combatant, non-uniformed, lawful under ROE. It wasn't lawful. We all knew it. But the sergeant was regular army. The lieutenant was an officer. What was he going to do? Marcus had kept shooting. Got the whole thing. The execution. The aftermath. Everything. "Did you get it?" he asked me quietly. "No." "Why not?" "I don't know." We left the village an hour later. The lieutenant filed a report saying they'd encountered hostile action and neutralized an enemy combatant. The old woman became a statistic. 1 VC killed. Good day for the lieutenant's metrics. Marcus gave his film to Jim O'Brien, said he'd send it to his editor. Finally. Proof of American war crimes, documentation that couldn't be ignored. The picture that would matter. The pictures never ran. Marcus's editor killed the story, said the images were too inflammatory, might endanger other journalists in country, might violate some agreement with the military, might cost them access, might make Americans uncomfortable. Marcus was furious, threatened to quit. Take the pictures to another publication. But everyone said the same thing. Too controversial, too dangerous, too damaging. The pictures got filed away. Another moment of truth that was too true to publish. But at least Marcus had tried, had documented it, had done his job. I hadn't. I'd lowered my camera at the critical moment, failed to document the execution, failed to do the one thing I was there to do. "Why did you stop?" Marcus asked me that night at the hotel. I thought if I photographed it, it would be like I was complicit, like I was participating. We're always complicit. We're always participating. The camera doesn't make us neutral. It makes us witnesses, and witnesses have responsibilities. But we didn't stop it. No, we didn't. But we could have documented it. Could have tried to hold someone accountable. I did. You didn't. He was right. I'd failed. Not just failed to take the picture. Failed the old woman. Failed the truth. Failed my purpose for being there. I kept working, kept taking pictures, but something had changed. I couldn't unsee it the moment when I lowered my camera, the moment when I chose comfort over documentation, the moment when I failed. Every picture I took after that felt tainted, compromised. I'd photograph a firefight and wonder what I wasn't photographing. A wounded soldier and wonder whose suffering I was ignoring. A burning village and wonder which atrocities I was choosing not to document. The numbness was gone, replaced by constant guilt. I was documenting selective truth, the truth that sold, the truth that fit the narrative, the truth that made everyone comfortable. But not the truth, not the complete picture, not the executions and the atrocities and the daily casual cruelties that made up the real war. Marcus noticed. You're losing it. I'm fine. You're not. You're second-guessing every shot, hesitating. That'll get you killed. He was right about that, too. In April 1970, I froze during a firefight. Couldn't decide what to photograph. Couldn't raise my camera. Just stood there while bullets flew, completely unable to function. My escort, a sergeant named Williams, tackled me behind cover. What the fuck is wrong with you? You got a death wish? Maybe I did. Maybe I was trying to make up for the old woman, for lowering my camera, for failing. Sarah Chen was killed in June 1970. Rocket attack on a firebase where she was photographing casualties. She was the only photographer I knew who never seemed troubled by what she documented. Never questioned her purpose. Just took pictures and filed them and took more pictures. Now she was gone, and I couldn't stop thinking. Did she die still believing she was making a difference? Or had she figured out, like I had, that we were just voyeurs, documenting suffering we couldn't or wouldn't prevent? Marcus left in August 1970. Just quit, went home, said he couldn't do it anymore. Couldn't pretend the pictures mattered when nobody would publish the ones that really mattered. You should leave too, he told me before he left. This place is eating you alive. But I stayed, because leaving felt like giving up, like admitting that the old woman died for nothing, that my failure to document her execution meant she'd be forgotten completely. So I stayed and kept taking pictures that felt increasingly meaningless, kept documenting a war that nobody wanted to see honestly, kept hiding behind a camera that didn't protect me from anything anymore. My breaking point came in March 1972. I was photographing refugees fleeing from fighting near An Loch. Thousands of people. Old people, women, children, carrying everything they owned, walking south away from the combat. A girl approached me, maybe 12 years old, skinny, dirty, exhausted. She looked at my camera, then at me. You take picture? She asked in broken English. Yes. You help? I'm a photographer. I take pictures. Picture help? They show people what's happening, help them understand. She thought about that. Then, my village burned. My father dead. My mother sick. Picture help me? I didn't answer, because the answer was no. The picture wouldn't help her, wouldn't feed her or shelter her or bring her father back, would just be another image of suffering for magazines to run with captions about the tragedy of war. She waited for an answer. When I didn't give one, she walked away, disappeared into the crowd of refugees. I lowered my camera. Couldn't take another picture. Couldn't hide behind the lens anymore. Couldn't pretend I was serving any purpose except my own career. I left Vietnam 2 weeks later, 3 years before the war ended. Just walked away. Told my editors I needed a break. Never went back. I came home to New York in April 1972. 31 years old, thousands of photographs, multiple awards, successful career, empty inside. My pictures ran in magazines, got displayed in galleries. People praised them, called them powerful, important, said they showed the truth of war. But they didn't. They showed a sanitized version. The truth that was comfortable enough to publish. The suffering that looked meaningful. The death that seemed purposeful. They didn't show the old woman getting executed by a frightened lieutenant. They didn't show the daily casual cruelties. They didn't show the moments when I lowered my camera because documenting certain horrors felt like participating in them. I tried continuing photography, covered domestic stories, civil rights, protests, urban poverty. But I couldn't unsee what I'd learned in Vietnam. That documentation without action is just voyeurism. That bearing witness isn't the same as making a difference. I lasted 6 months, quit photography entirely in late 1972. Couldn't do it anymore. Couldn't hide behind a camera. Couldn't pretend observation was enough. Tried other jobs. Worked in my father's hardware store for a year. Drove a taxi. Tended bar. Nothing stuck. I was just going through motions, waiting for something that never came. Marcus Thompson killed himself in 1973. His sister called to tell me. Said he'd been struggling, drinking, couldn't adjust to civilian life, couldn't shake the things he'd seen, couldn't forgive himself for documenting horrors instead of preventing them. He talked about a woman, his sister said, an old woman who got shot. Said he photographed it, but nobody would publish the pictures. Said it haunted him. I understood. It haunted me, too. Except Marcus had at least tried to document it, had at least done his job. I hadn't even done that. David Morrison kept working. Still does. Covers conflicts around the world. Bosnia, Rwanda, Iraq. Still taking pictures. Still believing they matter. I envy him. Envy his ability to keep believing. To keep documenting without being destroyed by the weight of it. I see my old photographs sometimes. In retrospectives. In books about Vietnam. My images of suffering carefully curated, professionally presented, contextualized with captions that make it all seem meaningful. They're lies. Beautiful lies. Carefully framed lies. But lies nonetheless. The truth isn't in the photographs I took. It's in the one I didn't take. The old woman looking defiant while a frightened lieutenant pointed a gun at her head. The moment before he pulled the trigger. The split second when I lowered my camera and failed her. That's the picture that matters. The one that haunts me. The one I see every time I close my eyes. It's 1976 now. 4 years since I left Vietnam. 9 years since I arrived there young and idealistic, believing I could make a difference through my art. I'm 35 years old. No longer a photographer. No longer anything, really. Just someone carrying the weight of everything he saw and everything he failed to document. Everything he photographed and everything he couldn't prevent. People ask me sometimes about my work in Vietnam, about the pictures I took, about whether I think they made a difference. I don't know if they made a difference. Probably not. The war went on for years after my best images ran. The suffering continued. The atrocities continued. The lies continued. What I do know, there was a moment when I could have documented a war crime, could have held someone accountable, could have created evidence that couldn't be ignored or filed away. And I lowered my camera, chose comfort over documentation, chose my own peace of mind over truth. The old woman died anyway, got buried in an unmarked grave, became a statistic. 1 VC killed. Good day for someone's metrics. No picture, no documentation, no accountability, no justice, no memory, just me. carrying the image of her in my head. The picture I never took, the picture that would have mattered, the picture that haunts me more than all the ones I did take. Marcus was right. We're always complicit, always participating. The camera doesn't make us neutral. It makes us witnesses, and witnesses have responsibilities. I failed mine, failed her, failed the truth, failed my purpose. I should have taken the picture. That's what eats at me. Not the horrors I documented, not the suffering I photographed, not the death I captured through my lens, the one I didn't capture, the one that mattered most. The moment when truth needed a witness and I looked away. I came home from Vietnam in 1972. But the photographer who went there in 1967, young, idealistic, believing in the power of images, he never came home. He died in that village in February 1970. Died the moment he lowered his camera. Died watching an old woman get executed while doing nothing. What came back was just someone carrying cameras he'd never use again, carrying guilt he'd never shed, carrying the image of a picture he never took, still carrying it, still seeing her face, still seeing the lieutenant's hand steady on the trigger, still seeing the moment when I chose comfort over courage, still lowering the camera, still failing her forever.